Okay, let's go. So many people must be waiting for this. I'm sorry I kept you waiting. Just for a change. Welcome to the Creative Smartphone Photography Show with me, Sab in Paris. Remember me from last week? Welcome. And this is the show where I talk about photography. I talk about your photography. I talk about mine. And this week's theme is, let's get straight into it. This week's theme is, as you can see here, books. Books up there in the top right. Next week's theme, we need to decide what's it going to be. I've got some ideas. I'll put a poll in the group. The ideas I have are some from last time, a couple of new ones. So there's blue, the color blue. There's windows, there's birds. I'm thinking of something a little bit more abstract, like a shape. So if you have any ideas for that, help me out. We'll put the poll in. Let me just give you an idea of what I did today, like 2 or 3 hours ago, on the theme of books. By the way, say hello if you're watching. Say hello in the comments, please. Say who you are if your name doesn't come up, and what you have taken photographs of recently, and where are you. What's the weather like? Is it freezing? I know that some people in the never eat shredded wheat is the technique that I use to remember northeast, southwest. And I've used that since, I don't know, about 8 years old, and I can't do it any other way. So never eat shredded wheat. In the never wheat section of the United States, Northwest, it's pretty darn cold, if I understand correctly. So let me know how you're doing in the comments. I was in Paris a little while ago, surprisingly enough, and I took a couple of photographs on this week's theme, and I'm just going to show them to you, get you in the mood. So this is me. Hang on, can I show this otherwise? That's better. Yeah, so there I was on the station. I don't know if you remember, but a couple of weeks ago I said, take pictures of people when you're sitting on a station not doing anything. Look like you're playing with your phone and take a snap. And I was sitting on a station chair and I did exactly that. And there you go, completely unexpected, completely sort of random person wandering around. She happened to have a book. It happened to be the same color as the poster. The station lights above gave an amazing sort of perspective, zooming towards you. On the bottom of on the platform underneath her feet were similar white rectangles to the lights above, but they were horizontal, nicely spaced. She's off to the right of the poster, fills in that space nicely. And it's books, what more do you want? So you've just got to be there in the shot, you've just got to be open to the shot and the shot will come to you. I'm not saying it's amazing or anything, but I'm just really happy with it. Remember, that's my definition of what a great shot is that you've taken. Do you like it? And if you do, it's a great shot. That's all there is to it. It's not a science, it's an art. So get shooting. That's my philosophy. Someone said hello. Who's saying hello? Karen is saying hello. Watching while making muffins. Okay, yeah. Get your priorities right, Karen. Make sure those muffins are okay. Then, have a look at the show from time to time. Who else is here? Who else is watching? Please say hello. Right. So that was a completely random shot of books. Here's my second shot that I'm going to show you. Then I get on to your shots. So, this was literally, as soon as you put an idea in your head, bam, normally it comes, you start seeing it everywhere. Where was I? Can anyone guess where I am, where I was when I took this shot a little while ago in Paris? If you get bonus points if you guess correctly. And yeah, it's a pretty incredible image, I think. I won't say anything more about it, actually. I just want to see if anyone can guess where I was, in a very famous place in Paris. So 2 very different book shots. Let me move on to yours. Right, I'm just going to chat through the pictures. This is from Alison. Hello, Alison. And this is really nice because it touches me, because Alison says this is the British Library full of books. Yeah, it would be a bit of a shame if it wasn't, wouldn't it? And we have something similar in Paris. It's called the BNF, the Bibliothèque Nationale de France, the sort of French National Library. They moved the French one to this big new building, which is pretty. Anyway, that's another story. The British Library moved. To cut a long story short, my mum used to love going here. She had a day trip into London when she used to live in North London. So I thought that was wonderful. So thanks, Alison. I love this person here on the right. You know, there's something about shots of things without humans, but which are spaces for humans, can be desperately, sadly empty. So the architecture is striking. I love the colors, then the white, the purity of the walls and the whiteness on the right. But if there hadn't been that one silhouette of a person, it would have been something missing. You know, books are meant to be read by humans. There's the human. And it's a silhouetted human as well, which is even stronger, actually. Sometimes, I'm going to now contradict something I just did. Sometimes it's better if you have a human to not see their face. Then you don't start looking at that particular person and seeing, you know, what earrings they're wearing and stuff. You see humanity. The person represents humanity, which is what I had a choice to do. I had two versions of this shot. One, I had the woman turned away, the back of her head. She would have represented a traveler. But here now I can see that it's some woman of a certain age with a certain hairstyle and certain glasses and her bags and stuff. So I made a choice. I must admit I chose this one because I could see the red of the book in this one, and in the other one I could hardly see the red of the book at all. Although I would normally go for an anonymous human if possible. And if you'll notice, in the other shot I showed you, there's an anonymous human. I don't know if you can see in the bottom there. There's a couple of anonymous humans. They're human shapes, but we can't see who they are. What do you think of that? Are there any photos you like so far? Why do you like them? And please say hello if you're watching. It may be you're on a page where I'm not seeing your comments. I'm not sure, because probably some of you have made comments. I'm just going to flick over to another place here, see if I can see something. No, I'm not seeing comments here. So it may be that I can't see your comments. I'm just going to refresh this page, see what happens. So we got a load of really nice book shots. I was really impressed. Some of you went the extra mile and really tried to be artistic. Or there was a touch of humor, something like that. For in this group, it's the creative smartphone photography group. Spot the first word. So I'm looking for people to go the extra mile or the extra inch or centimeter and try to make your shots artistic in some way. In other words, how do you do that? Well, you probably don't just take the first thing that you see in front of your face. All right, so yeah, okay. Yeah, so if you do have any comments, send them in. All right, so what else have we got? This one is from Teresa. Hello, Teresa. How are you doing today? This is very clever. I don't know what you've done, but you've eliminated all the colors except red and very, very near red. And it's a very striking shot, don't you think, people? Very, very powerful. I think one of my favorite striking color combinations in art as well is black, kind of, I don't know if you call it shotgun gray or metallic gray or graphite, that dark gray, which is a bit shiny, and white. Very, very stunning. And I'm not sure how you've done it. I don't really need to know, but it's a lovely effect. And I must admit, I did have a little sneak peek into your bibliothèque, into your library here. Seems wine does seem to be quite an important element of your life. I'm not saying anything more than that, but we did spot two or three the wine Bible. I like that. You're obviously a devoted believer. You've got the Bible there. Some pretty impressive literature there. Moby Dick, The Count of Monte Cristo. Actually, funnily enough, I saw the author of The Count of Monte Cristo's final resting place today. Can you guess where I was when I took the shot with the pile of strange looking books. That's my quiz for you. You get extra points. There's a strange book here on the right. You can't see it because it's difficult to blow up. It says something like is it Webster's New World Dictionary of the American Language. I think there must be a mistake there because, you know, there's English. I'm not sure what the American language is. Maybe it's sort of native indigenous Indian language or something like that. Don't quite understand that. Anyway, thanks for contributing that, Teresa. I love that shot. Well, what's next? Show through here. Now, to be honest, I haven't seen this yet, but in Rob's inimitable style, he has done something different. He says, I've embraced the modern era of books. In other words, it's not a book, it's a tablet thing. And since purchasing my Kindle in 2910, he really is ahead of the curve there. He purchased his Kindle in 2910. I average one book a month, not the speediest of readers. Okay. *Les Misérables, 1,600 pages, took six months to get through. I don't know how you feel about paperless books. So hang on a second, looking for a book. This is a book, folks, and I've done twice very recently. I have done this. I was reading a book and I got to the end of the page and I went like that to scroll up, and it didn't scroll up. I had to try and work out what you had to do, and apparently you grab this piece here and you move it over and another page appears, which I thought was quite cool. And I think yeah, just today I was looking at a picture in a book and it was a bit small, and I'm not joking, it was a bit small, so I went to I went to pinch it bigger in a paper book. I'm losing it. So anyway, so that's Rob showing us his books. Great, good for you, Rob. Thanks a lot. Has any of you had the same experience where you've tried to do something electronic on a paper book and felt rather silly and started asking yourself what the world's coming to? From Dorothy. This is a picture of Dorothy's foot. Oh, and there's a she said there's two for the, she said two flies in one shot, we say in Swedish. And I think what she means is she took a picture of the book on the table and later realized that there was a bunch of books in the top left. And what very often happens is you spot things in pictures after you've taken them, which please you. You could call them coincidences, lucky happenstance, but it happens a lot. I've often spotted really cool coincidences or a repetition of the theme after, you know, going home on the train, and I look at it, I think, oh my God, there's two of them, whatever it is. And Dorothy has seen that. She's seen that there were a bunch of other books, which beautifully fills in that top left-hand corner. And I asked her what this book is, and she said on the table, and she said it's a book which she writes in. I think she said that here. She said, do you have a book like this? A wonderful book. Books don't have to have words in, they can be empty, and then you can fill them in yourself. Get a beautiful book and fill it in with stuff. She says it's a book from Peter Pauper Press, and she writes what comes up in her mind. So there are notes for my coming book if I write one. So she's writing words in a book for her future book, but isn't that it then, or is it something different? So I see Dorothy putting her picture as well. I think you should make this bigger here. I think you should be very proud of your own photographs. Love your photographs, people. You took them, nothing to do with anyone else, none of their business, in fact, and you are graciously sharing your creativity with the world. That's one of the wonderful things about photography. And in this group, I want you to do it creatively, not just snaps. There's time for snaps, but there's also time to be as creative as you possibly can. Got a word from Dorothy. Dorothy's listening. I can't comment through the computer, so I'm just listening. Yeah, been having a bit of a problem with comments, I think. I think probably quite a few of you are commenting, and I'm not seeing them. Sorry about that. But maybe something will change. Yeah, I've got some comments are not coming through. Sorry about that. So that's a lovely picture. This is me. This is the book that I tried to scroll up on. Didn't work. Prisoners of Geography. You can see it's a pretty muddy, mushy picture. I had a bright window behind me, so that made the front of the picture with the book title and my face dark. So I made everything brighter. The window completely blew out, went pure white, and it wasn't really in focus. But I don't know, there's something kind of atmospheric about it. Great book, by the way, The Prisoners of Geography, Tim Marshall. Check it out. All you need to know about geopolitics, or a really good introduction. Okay, so there's the theme. We have some more. Here's Jean. Now, don't post under the thing where I announced the theme. Start a new thread for those. So she said, this is very interesting. She said that these books are all from members of her family. They're not. They weren't sort of linked. They didn't sort of decide, hey, let's write 3 books on the same topic, but they're all around a kind of a religious topic, and yet they were done independently. So there's a kind of theme there. She says they're a bit scholarly for her, a bit literary maybe. They do look literary. The rise of liberal religion, the history of parishes, parsons, and parishioners in Anglican Virginia about 300 years ago, 200 years ago. And the Hebrew Bible as literature. Very interesting. Nice sort of shot there. Decided to go on all black. Interesting to know why. So, you know, that's really focusing on the books, just a sort of a still life of the books. Here's Nazanin. Now, this is a sculpture, a bit like the sculpture that I showed you earlier, a sculpture of books. And she says it's, where is it? It's a statue in Champigny-sur-Marne, France. So I would love to see this. It's really impressive. Can you imagine having that instead of some boring statue in the middle of your town square? Very cool. The head on that reminds me of one of the Paris street artists called Gregos, who puts his face, a plaster cast of his face, in various expressions all over Paris and all over the world. I bought some of his masks and painted them in my style a few years ago. He's got one with his tongue out, one with a smile, one with a grimace, and one with blowing a kiss. And if you come to Paris, you can't miss them. Okay, and Nazanin sending in some sort of meme on books. Let's read it. We are like books. Most people only see our cover. The minority read only the introduction. Many people believe the critics. Few will know our content. Yeah, I think it's quite a well-known, although having said that, it isn't attributed to anyone. So yeah, there you go. Well, it's not an original photo though. Look at this, Beatrice. What do we have here? We have, she says, I don't like to picture, by the way, guess where this is? This is a very famous building in France, not the same one that I was in before. She says, I don't like to post my old pictures for a new theme, but I really like this one. I took it 1 year ago in the library of the Institut de France, the French Institute, very famous building. You can only visit it once a year, unless you're a member of it, I guess. And these are very old and rare books, and they're absolutely gorgeous. The green one is great. You know, to have all of them are in a sort of warm, reddish, purplish, orangey tone, and then there's a beautiful green one, which really stands out. And there's an echo of the green. If you look at this vertical line of the book, there's actually an echo of that in the horizontal green line at the top. So without even realizing it, there's a certain harmony that has been brought into this. It's nice to have echoes, repetitions of things. And In fact, in the green, there is a red band as well. So the red band in the green kind of echoes the other more reddy books, and the top of the photograph in green is a nice sort of counterbalance to this. This is a little, it's quite sharp, you know, it's a sharp little green vertical stripe with lots of detail. And this is much bigger, but it's much mushier. It's just a sort of feeling of green. So that's, I really like that. And to be honest, I've only just spotted that now. Beautiful. If she hadn't had the green one standing out, it would possibly have been weaker, because you need the one that's different in order to give you something to look at. Otherwise, it's a bunch of books. Here, I'm guessing your eyes went to the green one. It's the one that attracts you because it's different, a different color to the others, and it's smaller than most of the others, and that's what we look for. We look for the one that's different. So make sure that there's something different in your photographs somehow. That's a good thing to go for. I know people are trying to comment. I'm really sorry, folks. I can't see your comments today. I don't know why. And that's annoying me. But thanks for watching anyway. It may be that I will see your comments afterwards and I will reply to them. So do keep on commenting. All right. So thanks, Bear. Beautiful. I think she's got more coming as well. What did I say? Surprise, surprise. Do you recognize this little guy? Jean will recognize this little guy. It's the little squares that I did for Ukraine to remind us of what's happening in Ukraine. It's a year since Ukraine was invaded. And these I put around Paris, these little squares, put them around Paris. They're unstickable now. I found a new technique. People can unstick them quite easily, take them away. And there is a link on them to a website, which is 𝑖2c.life, like I, the letter I, 2, the number 2, c.life, 𝑖2c.life, www at the beginning if you're having problems. And you can see my little squares. That's an ongoing project. You can even adopt one if you want to. So that's cool. Again, these are books on her bookshelf. So that's that. Kathy sent one in. My favorite bookshelf at home combines special books of photography, travel, golf. You know, Teresa, I was looking for golf books in your thing and I didn't see them. Maybe I didn't look closely enough. I mean, I thought your life was golf, more or less golf, not much else. But so did I make a mistake, or do you probably have another entire bookcase just for golf books? Let me know. I want to know. This is great because you really see, you know, personal stuff here. And she says there's her beloved AE1, which I'm kind of guessing is a camera. Is it that Canon on the left there? AE1, maybe it's that. And my last film camera, hand painted in Chiang Mai on our first adoption trip. So I think she went to adopt a kid. And this camera has got a beautiful, I don't know if you can see completely, beautiful elephant on the back of that in a very sort of Indian-y style or Chinese style. I'm not sure which one it is. And then, you know, you can sort of sneak around a bit sort of voyeuristically and see what our other books are. Zen putting. I've heard of the Zen of, you know, various things. Like, is there the Zen of tennis or the Zen of management, the Zen of golf? So that looks like someone. I know that you can see all of life in a game of golf as a metaphor. There's metaphors for everything in games like golf and tennis and running and things like that. So I'm all for it. Be a player, play your best golf now. Getting a bit of a theme here. The photographer's eye. That's pretty cool. I'm into the photographer's eye. More joy of photography, and a Thailand sketchbook. So we had a glimpse into Kathy's life there. Thank you very much for sharing that. I would love to have one of those old Kodak brownies. You know those ones? It's like an accordion. It was a very cheap camera, but it was the first one, I think, that let everybody be able to take a photograph. And it's so iconic. It's got that sort of accordion thing that stretches out. And you find them sometimes in markets, antique markets, for not too much. I really want to get one for my shelves. I'm going to have to check that out. All right, how are we doing? We're half an hour in already, and I'm gutted. There's a few of you watching. I really appreciate it. I'm gutted that I can't see your comments, but that's the way it goes. That's life, I guess. So I'm just going to have to ramble. I wonder why you can't. Why that's not working. Okay, this one is from Jean. I had to post, by the way, when you post your photos in the theme, put the hashtag. If I was sensible, I would have just done a search on hashtag, but I didn't. I had to post this photo I took years ago of the old library at Trinity College in Dublin. So many books, so totally amazing. You know, hidden behind certain walls, there are amazing libraries all around the world, actually. There are even some old shops which are worth it. Like in Paris, you've got, guess what? Shakespeare and Company is quite an amazing shop to wander around. And there's one in Porto in Portugal, which is just incredible. This is amazing. Look at that roof. The angle looking up to get all of the roof in, and those rows of books receding into the distance is pretty spectacular. This is tricky to get a good shot. Why? Because there's so many people. Just having a look at it here. So a little bit of photo analysis. What can you do when there's a bunch of stupid tourists just like you? Well, or I don't know, are they tourists or are they're probably tourists. It's probably a tourist attraction now, because otherwise they'd be sitting down reading instead of sort of wearing camera bags. But, you know, what do you do? Well, you can look up, you can get down, squat down low and look up. Say, for example, you got closer to one of those statues on the left. You squatted down, trying not to knock the statue off the podium, probably a good idea. You squat down, you look up. That would immediately give you a really interesting foreground interest. Like the statue is right in the bottom left, maybe taking up the bottom left quarter of the photograph. So you get in close to the statue, squat down, and you look up. By looking up, you've eliminated all of those people running around. And you've also got probably a more interesting angle. This angle is impressive, but that's kind of because the library is impressive, not necessarily because your photograph's impressive. You know, there are some things you can take. You take a photograph of something impressive. Like I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, what an impressive library. But I'm not necessarily thinking, what an impressive photograph, if you see what I mean. An impressive photograph would be something like I just mentioned. If you're ready to look for the photograph, you've got to look for you can have an impressive topic, an impressive subject, and you could take a banal photograph of it or an impressive photo of it. You can have a banal subject and you can take an equally banal photograph just by sort of lifting your camera and saying and going click, or getting a really interesting take on what is nonetheless a boring object. So you have a choice here. So you're faced here with a stunning subject. Do your best to take a stunning photograph using any techniques you like, except lifting your camera to your eye, looking straight ahead and clicking. That's how not to take a stunning photograph. Just saying. You need the foreground interest as well, otherwise, you know, it is a bunch of books. Impressive, superb. Be happy, you know, be happy with your photograph. That's the main thing. So here's another one from Jean. You know what Facebook has done here? It's put the red bands on the side. This is not part of Jean's photograph. It actually works very well, but that isn't the photograph. Let's be honest. Although, funnily enough, the red bands that Facebook has put echo the red sides of the cabinet. I think if I blow it up, you get rid of the red bands. I'm asking myself if this is for the theme of red or if it's for the theme of books. Jean tells us, and it's exactly the same in France, there are so many of these little free libraries popping up all over the place. They're installed in our local library, by our local library, park district, schools, even individuals. This particular red one is one of two that sits outside a pre-K to 2 school in Stokey. Love the bench nearby for a spot to sit and read in the warm sun. I got excited when I spotted Nancy Drew mystery books, my favorite read as a youngster. I took a shot yesterday of one of these things. It was quite interesting. There was a box like this. In the top, there were all of the books had their spines to me, except one book, which was kind of displaying itself. And it was something like The Secret of Chickens, 100 Secrets of Chickens. I didn't grab it, so I'll never know what those 100 secrets are, unfortunately. Down on the ground, that didn't fit in the box, there were two really handsome volumes just sitting there, abandoned, one at a certain angle to another one. And I thought, there you go. That's, so these things are great. I really love these. And I make a point of just having a look to see if there's an interesting title. Books are great props, by the way. And I take a lot of my selfies, do have a book in. Try to look for a title which says something about you or could say something about you. You looking over the top of it with your eyes sort of poking up with an interesting title, and people can wonder if that title says anything about you or not. Giraffe mug, by the way, today. Say hello to the giraffe mug. The giraffe mug saying hello to you. It's only polite. I thank you for all the lovely comments that I would be seeing if I could see them. I know they would be fun. I know I would be coming back with witty retorts and, sneaky comebacks and all that, and I can't, which is killing me, but that's the way it goes. You win some, you lose some. Here's another one. I'm going to pick 2 or 3 of my favorites to be my favorites of the look at this one. This is Jean in some sort of black and white. It almost looks like it's one of those infrared photographs. The black and white is so striking. I'm not sure if she did something special with it. Black and white from this angle. Whenever possible, I always take photos from different angles. As Sab has suggested, she's going to kill me for my comments on her library shot now. Maybe that was before she did my masterclass. And often with different looks. Love this black and white version. Jean, I love it. There's a great thing about something like this. When someone is interacting with something, a trick you can do is to put yourself almost as though you're looking over their shoulder. You peer from near, you take the shot from near where their head is, and it's a bit like, it could almost be your arms, your finger pointing there. You could also include the back of their head, which it's like you're looking over their shoulder, and you're seeing what they're seeing. It's only a statue, but you can imagine it's even more so if you see the back of their head. There's different ways of doing this. You see the back of someone's head and what they're looking at. You feel that you're in a crowd with them, both looking at the same thing, and it gives a certain feel to a photograph, which is rather pleasing. Here I feel like I'm sitting next to this person, almost like it could be a grandma or something, who's showing me photographs from the past, and I'm looking at them with her. It's a lovely life-size statue in town of an older couple sitting on a bench looking at a book. So it's a couple looking at a book. That's interesting. So there is a couple, and I feel like I'm one of them. She's saying she did something clever, but I'm not sure. Can I blow that up just for posterity? There you go. New gifts for the garden. Moving on. What else have we got? We've got Jean again. It's the same thing with a different style. You've got color. I guess the statue is sort of colorless, so you've got a lovely touch of color. I guess, Jean, did you add that? With an added bead marker. There's nothing to stop you playing with the photograph. I mean, it depends on your point of view. You can completely manufacture the photograph like it's a still life. You place everything. You can refuse to do that and you only take what you see in front of you. Or sometimes you can add a touch. I'll give you an example of when I do this. I remember once there was a statue of in a graveyard, Père Lachaise graveyard, of a statue lying. It was a lady lying with her eyes closed, probably dead, and her hand was open like this. And I decided to cheat. I'm not sure if I cheated or not, but I think I placed a fallen autumn leaf in the palm of her hand. So she was holding it. And, you know, it kind of adds to the story because, okay, it's a graveyard. She's mourning, or she's either dead or she's mourning someone who's dead. And in her hand is a dead leaf. So, and it also gives a lovely touch of color, and it talks to nature. It reminds of us nature, because a statue, after all, is stone, probably. And to have something human that was created by humans, like these beads, or a leaf, it's an interaction. You could even put your hand in the photograph. If the statue's holding out a hand, you could put your hand in the photograph and hold the hand of the statue. There aren't any rules. And if you do that, I did it recently, I'm trying to remember when. I put my hand into the shot to interact in some way with the subject. I can't remember what it was. Because the photo was lacking something. Yes, I can remember what it was. It was, I'm going to try and find, no. It was a lock. I think I told you about this last week. There was a lock on the bridge with a boat going by. It was fine, but it was another lock photograph, you know, the love locks of Paris. I put my hand into the shot. I held the lock. It changed the lighting. And, you know, the lock was about love, about a couple who probably held hands. So there I was holding the lock. And you could, in the same way as with this statue, you could imagine that you were there looking at the lock with me, reading the names. And the lock was from 2010. So it's been there for 11 years. I was pretty impressed because I thought they cut them off. And try and imagine, you know, who was this couple? Who was this, I don't know, Keith and Sally or someone? Who were they? And have they gone back to the bridge to see if their lock was still there? And can you imagine if, I almost I'm getting emotional thinking about it. They go back and it's still there. You know, it would be such a shame if they went back and it wasn't. Well, right now, if you know Keith or Sally, let them know they can go back. It's still there for now, okay? But hurry up, because every now and then the Paris Council come along and say, oh, too many locks, damaging government property, gotta cut them off. This is Dorothy. Well, this is a book. Dorothy's fingers in this photo. What did I just tell you? A picture of a book is kind of boring. A picture of somebody interacting with the book is a different story, in more ways than one. The book I'm reading now, it's helping me to build a bridge between the past and the future. I found this fascinating. Hello, by the way, if you've just joined, I'm having a problem with comments. It's annoying me. I can't read your comments. I know you're sending comments. Thank you. I'll probably see them afterwards. So you can comment. Please do comment just to say hello. And I'll say hello afterwards. If you're watching on the replay, say hello as well, and I will say hello to you. You can still, if you're still tempted by this theme, you've got one photo you just have to share it. We'll see it, don't worry. So this is Living with Joy. I had a question for Dorothy, or rather a ponder, when she said, it's helping me to build a bridge between the past and the future. You know, there's a kind of, it's not new age, it's like a spiritual way of looking at things, which is live in the present moment. Well, and then she said, this bridge is helping me to build a bridge, but this book is helping me to build a bridge between the past and the future. And I thought, that's interesting. How can you live in the moment if you're also trying to link the past to the future? It just, yeah, sometimes these thoughts come into my head and I think, what's going on there? So that interested me. Okay, so wonderful. Thank you for contributing that, Dorothy. Jean, we've seen that one before. I told her to put it in the, this is from Ingrid. Here it is. No, I didn't buy it. I wait. Has anyone bought this book? Go on, admit it. Alison, I've got a comment at last. Maybe just no one's commenting. Really enjoying the photos of books. Thank you very much, Alison. Lovely to have you there from chilly UK. It's very cold in Paris at the moment. Alison, we commented on your photo. It was one of the first. So I hope you saw that, if not, on the British Library. This is apparently the biggest non-fiction seller in the history of statistics or something like that. for some reason, a lot of people hadn't had enough of Harry after the Netflix series, the special interviews, the relentless coverage in the press. They said, no, no, we haven't had nearly enough, Harry. Give us a huge book, ghostwritten by someone, of him telling us that his penis nearly froze off in the Arctic or something. Anyway, you can look into that on your own if you want to. Not forgetting how many people he's killed. That's another juicy detail. When he was in Afghanistan or whatever. Kind of odd, really kind of odd, this Harry phenomenon. Really kind of strange. Don't know what to make of it. Anyway, there he is, le suppléant in French, which means, well, it doesn't mean the same in English as spare. The book's spare in English, the spare one. The story is that I think even to try and understand where he's coming from, apart from the death of his mum and everything, even on his birthbed, when he was born, Charles jokingly said, you know, well done, Diana, now we've got an heir and a spare. Let's try and work out how that might make him feel, you know, later on in life. So he's obviously had these problems. He's just the other one. He's the spare one. Probably isn't going to do too much for your self-esteem. Anyway, that's the story, you know. It's weird because it's like he's a real person, but it's like a soap opera. Yeah, well, I guess that's what all the sort of the People magazines are, and you know, the gossip. All right, have we got to the end? This was a random picture of a monster that I came across in the forest. By the way, you can contribute any photographs. I haven't sharpened that one up. You can contribute any photographs. That's fine. You know, it doesn't have to be on the theme. Any photographs at any time. Contribute them as a new post that you're pleased with, that you think it's worth posting, you want to share, with the commentary. No naked pics, you know what I mean. No pictures which are just pictures. Not interesting. We need to know a little bit about you. It's not that I don't appreciate your photograph, it's that there are sites where you can dump your photos. Here, we want to know about you and what the photograph means to you. And this one, I just saw it in the forest, and I know certain people like Dorothy who find amazing faces and stuff in trees. Well, you know, I think this is right up there with them, don't you? It's just crazy. It's just crazy. The funny little mouth, you know, the eye, the sort of other. This looks like a closed eye here. After you can imagine whatever you like. It was the oddest tree I've ever seen, I'll tell you. Hello, hello. Here's Bear with 2 setup shots and 2 different looks. This one is she's on her way to Malta already. She's going there for a visit in a few weeks, I think. And she thought, right, it's going to be warm, it's going to be sunny, let me get in the mood. So here she is, and it's really cool. And you know, with the light coming from behind, it really looks like a lovely sunny day. And this one is more of a pensive mood. This is a book which is 3 famous French people. One is let's see if I can remember. One is a psychologist, another one is a psychoanalyst or something like that. One is a philosopher, one is a psychoanalyst or something, and the other one is a monk, Buddhist monk or something like that. And they get together and they discuss deep and meaningful questions. It's pretty cool. It's nice. The funny thing with all of these things is they often come around to more or less the same thing in the end, because if you think there's only one real truth beyond all people's interpretations of it, well, that's probably what's going to happen. So it's as much interesting to see how they interpret things through their glasses, as it were, you know, the glasses of a philosopher, the glasses of a psychoanalyst or a psychiatrist, the glasses of a monk. And yet, if they're all trying to describe the same thing, funnily enough, they kind of come together using slightly different language. So it's a very interesting book. It's nice. I couldn't read the whole thing. It's a bit heavy, but what I do is I open it at a page, at a title, a topic that I like, and read the 2 pages where they discuss that topic. So there it is. There's Bear looking pensive. Okay, and then I think that's pretty much it for the book photographs. We need to have a new theme. By the way, if you remember the first photograph I showed you with the woman on the platform, I suggested, this was from another time, just a little while ago, I was just sitting waiting for my train, and I just tilted my smartphone up and sort of randomly took photographs. And this is what I did with them. Got two shots. This one. It's funny because the sort of rotting, peeling paper behind reminded me of something you would see in a modern art gallery in Paris, and I'm not joking. This could easily be on the wall. It looks like a modern art picture. So that's cool. There's art everywhere. And then, you know, some random guy going past. There's the yellow triangle. I've taken it outside the limits of one photograph and published two photographs with the same background, slightly different angle, two different people, the same triangle, the same platform. It's only the person that's changed, and that it gives a unity. You know, you can have repetition in your photographs, which I think is a good idea, but you can also put two photographs together which are they're similar but different. Then you start asking yourself questions. Who are these people? What are they doing? Are they happy? Are they bored? And you can, you know, is that what I look like when I'm waiting for a train? Are these random people who look, I don't know what they look like? Could they possibly have as much depth to their soul as me sitting here, you know, the great thinker, always taking photographs of people? And I sort of look at them and I think, some dude. But for all I know, they are, you know, far, far more artistic, passionate about some hobby or of their lives. They could have written deep and meaningful books or books of poetry. I have no idea. But this is what I have of them. This is what they have shared with me without even knowing it. They are now part of my catalogue, part of my Paris Photo Chronicles, forever and a day. And that's it. Now it's time to move on. Some people you'll spend quite a lot of time with in your lives. Others, it'll be a fleeting moment. And that's the way it is. But at least I've captured these guys. So now they mean something to me, even though I mean nothing to them. And I wrote a couple of texts. I'll just blow them up just so that you can stop the screen if you want to, and stop the video if you want to, and read them. Okay, there you go. As I often say, if you have two types of art, two types of ways you express yourself, why not try to combine them like I combine words and photos every day on my photo things. Right, so I think that's pretty much it. That was my introductory photograph. And if you're into French, lines here just above my fingers are pretty cool. It's a poet sending letters, advice to a younger poet. A very famous book. If only I could remember who it was. And the funny thing is, the poet who wrote the letters to the younger unknown poet is famous for his poetry. But the guy he wrote them to, that he was giving sort of life and poetry advice to be honest, the thing that guy's most famous for is for publishing the letters of this other poet. That's kind of funny. But it's pretty cool. It's saying stuff like, if your daily grind seems poor and the opposite of rich to you, don't blame it. Blame yourself for not being enough of a poet to be able to bring the riches of what's in front of you out of them and towards you. Because for the creator, poverty of inspiration, poverty of source doesn't exist. There's no poor place. There's no poverty-stricken place. And there's no place that is indifferent. You can find inspiration anywhere if you are open to it. You can create it. and this happens to me a lot, I manage to find something to say about practically anything. Even today, I asked Beatrice to look at a photograph and say what she thought of it. I didn't have an idea that had come to me. You had a statue, you had the Eiffel Tower, and I thought, it's not that I couldn't have thought of something, it's that I thought it'd be fun to get an idea from someone else. So I said, look at this photograph, what comes to your mind? And she said, I don't know, statue, Eiffel Tower, smile. Is the statue smiling? That's it. That's my text for today, based on a smile. Can you think of another famous Parisian item where we're not sure if someone is smiling or not? You see what I mean? So from that one word, which I asked for, I called it to me. I said, give me a word, the first word that you think of when you look at this. And from that, a whole train of thought came. So when you see this statue on the Alexander III statue bridge, with this statue, you can see the face, you can see a kind of a sketch of a smile, and the Eiffel Tower in the distance, and my text. It came from that. It came from one word given to me by Bea. That's how it goes. You don't have to be stuck inside your own head. Get inspiration. There's not really any originality, is there? I mean, where do ideas come from? Do you think ideas belong to you? Do you think they're yours and no one else can use them? It's a bit like copyright. Copyright, even on slogans, is one of the funniest things. You know, I'm sure if I started a line of clothing and I said the slogan was "Just do it," or a line of sportswear or anything, just do it, you know, probably I might have a problem. You know why? You know, because apparently those words belong to someone else. They belong to someone. I can't use them. Can you imagine how hilarious that is, to think that you can own words? Ideas are kind of similar. Even if I get an idea, I don't think it's my idea. I don't think I would bother with copyright. What would be kind of funny is if I had a great idea, really original, totally mine, I hadn't seen it anywhere else, started using it, and someone came along and said, hey, we've already copyrighted that slogan, you can't use it. That'd be kind of weird, because, you know, it's like saying you can't use those words of the English language, they belong to me. It's just so nuts. So it's all of this idea of owning an idea. Yeah, I don't think, even if I'm in the woods wandering around and I get an idea, obviously it didn't come from somebody saying here's an idea for you. It seems to be original. But if I hadn't gone to the woods, I don't think I'd have got that idea. So I reckon the idea came from the woods or came from the trees. So I don't bother with saying, you know, this is original or it's not original. I just, things come to me and I do something with them. And sometimes I invite that. I say to somebody, look at this, give me a word, that'll be my source of inspiration. And that's fine. That's good, isn't it? I mean, one of the places our ideas are helped from is everything we've ever done in our lives. So anything you ever do is original. It can't be anything but original, because no one has lived your life. No one. And the funny, I'll finish on this ramble. You know, sometimes people say to me, you know, how did you do that photograph? What app did you use? And they think, I get the feeling they think if they had the same app as me, they could have produced the same photograph. Well, first of all, I've stopped saying what apps I use. I just say that I sabify things. Jean Jeanifies things, Teresa Teresaifies things, Bea Beatrifies things, Thomas Thomifies things, and I sabify things. Because what I produce comes from my 57.5 years of life on the planet, apart from anything else. So it's not even a route worth going down. All right. And that was another. That was this book came from one of those little book libraries. This is the most amazing book I've ever seen. It's hanging together with sticky tape, which looks like it's hanging together with spiders' webs. It's about to spontaneously disintegrate. The pages are just, God knows how the pages are still inside the cover, and it's just the most wonderful thing I've ever seen. And that was found in one of those book libraries. What do they call them in French? Boîte à lire, books reading boxes. Props are everywhere. I haven't read it. I've got it though. I guard it preciously, but I haven't read it. But I might one day. I might, or I might not. Don't know. All right, so that's pretty much the end. Oh my God, no. There. What a surprise this morning to see the book of Prince Harry in my little supermarket near home. Did I buy it? She says. Did I buy it? She probably did. I think she's that sort of person. No, she didn't. And that is it for those. Now I need a theme. We need a theme for next week, please. Thank you for commenting. I'll see them later. Sorry, the comments didn't work today, except for a couple of people. Thank you so much for contributing in this new revamped series. It's the best bunch of contributions yet. So many people contributing wonderful photographs. Keep it up. We need a new theme. As soon as I finish, or pretty soon after, I'm going to put some possible themes into a poll, and I want you to choose 2. There'll probably be 4. Choose 2, and then we'll go with the one that has the most votes. So far in my mind, I've got blue, color blue, birds. Someone suggested, and please suggest. I'll put them on the list for later. So in the comments to that poll, put your suggestions. So I've got birds. I've got blue. We've got windows. I want something a bit more abstract in case that appeals to people. I'm thinking of a shape. I'm thinking of, but I can't quite get, or a funny angle. You know, I think last year we had looking down. You can have looking up, looking sideways. Of course, there's things like reflections and shadows and silhouettes. So I haven't quite got that last thing yet. If anyone would like to give me an idea for that final one, a bit more abstract, I'd love to hear it. There's only a few minutes left, and I'll finish by showing you my latest photographs. How's that sound? Oh, I do want to show you something else, by the way, before you disappear, and that is something I'd love you to do. I've got the Today's the Day group. Okay, this is where you put something you'd love to remember each day for. Jean is here. Hi, thanks, Sab. Always enjoy it and always learn something new. Thanks, Jean. Thanks so much for contributing your wonderful photographs. And so this is a lovely group. Its only aim is to help you enjoy every single day of your life. And if you want to, you can post each day or whenever you like a little sentence starting today's the day and you put something you want to remember. It doesn't have to be happy. You know, it could be the most important event of your day. So what I'm doing is I'm extending this. I now have a website which is called Today's the Day. Hang on, let me just type this in here. It's today'stheday.rocks. That's just what it is. Today'stheday.rocks. It looks like this. Loving every sunrise to sunset. I'm going to put articles. I'm starting articles, and my objective is to start a new daily email list where you receive an inspiring message each day. Nothing cynical, nothing, you know, too sneaky. It's pretty much straightforward, positive vibes, and maybe a little bit of my philosophy, you know, on life. And if you go to today'stheday.rocks/join, you can join. You can sign up, and you can get my fun little messages. There'll probably be a meme in there with a photograph, a tiny little text to inspire you, and that's probably about it. Oh my God, yeah, Jean. Very odd that you saw my last comment, but not any others. I know I've got a problem with my comments today. Sorry about that. Thanks everyone for contributing. So if you wanna check out my daily rambles on this, can I get rid of that? So it's a new thing, you know me, producing new stuff. So it's today'stheday.rocks/join. today'stheday.rocks. That's like instead of .com, .rocks. Today rocks, right? /join. And sign up, and I'll send you, as soon as I get it going, hopefully at the beginning of March, a little inspirational thing each day in your email. Yeah. And that'll be linked from time to time to a bigger article on Today's the Day. Okay, you click on Today's the Day here, and you have kind of inspirational articles. That's the idea. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so this is me philosophizing, rambling, and but with a very positive. It's not like lazypig.com. Lazypig.com is where I'm a little bit more straightforward. These are really looking at life, trying to be as positive as possible. Okay, they're not that long. You see, there's a typical one, and it's just about putting a foot forward in life, doing something instead of doing nothing. That's the kind of feel. Let me finish by showing you my latest photographs. This is this one here. This is a Paris photograph. Did you recognize Paris? What photograph is this? It's a thistle. Sorry, what flower is this? It's a thistle with a bee squatting on it from a little communal garden in Paris. I'm so envious of the new iPhone, but I've still got an old one, so that's as good as it gets. Another one before that was, here's a self-portrait. Every 10 shots, self-portrait. Me sitting desperately wondering when my train is going to come during the strikes. If you want to get into self-portraiture, I would do it. Smartphones are wonderful for it. But the challenge is to always make them different. Try never to make one of your creative self-portraits look anything like any of the others. And this goes for a subject like the Eiffel Tower. For me, it's the Eiffel Tower. I take photographs of it regularly. It must always be as different as possible. And here's a funny dog park just next to Sacré-Cœur in Montmartre. A weird dog park, and a slightly weird photograph as well. How many dogs can you count in this shot? Come on, let me know. Quick, how many shots? How many dogs? Well, I'll tell you. Stop the video now if you don't want to know. Okay, there's 13. I can see 13 dogs at least. I think there's 13. The photograph's slightly weird. I won't tell you why. And yeah, just wandering past, suddenly saw 13 dogs doing doggy things. Keep your eyes open and you'll see all sorts of wonders. And I'll just finish also with this, which was a very strange chapter for me in the Paris Photo Chronicles, because there's nothing famous at all. It's just folks doing folky things. And I had a bunch of people, and I thought, okay, well, the theme's going to be random people doing random things, including this one in the middle, which is slightly strange. It's the same photograph, and I'm getting closer and closer. When you give yourself the structure, my structure is what you see here, a grid of 9. Within that, from time to time, if you do this over and over, you can give yourself some leeway and do something different. For example, I decided to use the same photograph. First time I've ever done that, I think. The same photograph, top right, middle, bottom left. I got closer and closer in the photograph. The text gets further and further away, and it says, the closer they get, the faster we run away. And that's the text I wrote. Apart from that, you can see my two guys here, which I've kind of set up in the grid structure. You see, there was a kind of method to my madness. There's something pleasing about the two guys on the left and the right. It's harmonious. So you don't always have to think within the structure of the photograph. If you're looking for a new idea, think outside, literally outside the box, outside the frame. Think, okay, I'm going to have a composition of several photographs. How are they going to look good together? How can I have similar themes that tie the photographs together, but with significant differences? That's another challenge. That is a wonderful challenge, and it moves you slightly above the photo level to a composition level. And I cover that in depth, or at least in a session on my smartphone photography masterclass, which will be happening again at some point in the future. All right, I think we're pretty much there. Thanks everyone for everything. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot too, and let's do it again, shall we? Watch out for the theme, it's coming very soon, and happy snapping. I do need to tell you one more thing though, don't I? I need to tell you what this was. This is in the Pantheon, the Pantheon in France, in Paris, which is the resting place of some of the greatest French people. normally sort of literary people or political people who have changed the course of France. And this is a kind of sculpture. There are a few sculptures around, and this was a sculpture of books. So that fit in pretty wonderfully with this week's theme, which is what happens when you have a theme in your head. You start seeing it everywhere. So leaving you with that one. Thanks for watching. I'll have a look at your comments very, very soon, and hope they work next week, that I can reply to them live. Happy snapping, and see you again soon. Bye for now, folks. And bye from the giraffe.